Hello everyone and welcome back to Mariana Mas Books. My name is Mariana and welcome to the final day of TAGMAS for 2021. Yay! For the final day of TAGMAS, I will be doing the ratings and reviews tag. This tag was created by Scott and Neil over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and I was tagged to do it by Elle from Elle Thinks and Jen from Remembered Reads. Thank you so much for the tag to both of them. And without further ado, let's just go on with the questions. Actually, there is a further ado that I want to do. I think these questions are taking themselves a little bit too seriously. You know that I have appointed myself as the snob police here in YouTube, and I think this tag is suffering from a little bit of that. Not that it's a bad tag, that's not what I'm saying. I'm a super snobby person. I just think that it is important for us to acknowledge when we are being snobby about something, and I think we are being a little bit with this tag. Maybe. I'm just having fun here on BookTube. I am by no means a professional book reviewer, so that is how I am going to approach the questions. How do you know you've just finished a good book? Is it a thinking or a feeling response? My gut reaction was to say a feeling response because I am, you know how I get with the books I love. But I saw an answer recently, which maybe it was on Jen's channel at Remembered Reads, or even maybe Kim at Middle of the Book March, I'm not sure. But they said that whenever a book makes them feel a lot, it also makes them think a lot, and vice versa. And I feel that it is true. So I'm going to change my answer. I'm going to say it's a thinking response, but not in the sense that it makes me think about a theme or reflect on a topic or something like that. Sometimes it does, but what I mean is that what I mean by thinking is that when I read a very good book, I can't stop thinking about the book. I will be in my daily life and I will suddenly remember something about the book. Maybe I'm having a conversation with someone. I'll say like, oh, Jasmine and Ivan had a conversation about this recently. And they will be like, who are Jasmine and Ivan? And I'll be like, oh, they are the main characters in the book that I'm reading. So that happens in fiction. And if it's non-fiction, then again, conversations in my daily life or a movie I watched or something will make me think of something I read in that book, and I will talk about the book with everyone that without prompting. I will just randomly start talking about the book. So in the sense of I can't stop thinking about the book is what I mean when I say it's a thinking response. By the way, that was question number 2. Question number 1 was to tag people, and as you know, I'm not tagging anyone for these TAGMAS videos. So, question number 3. When you begin to form your review or rating, what is the first question you ask yourself? The first question I ask myself is, does this book make me want to tweet in all caps? If it does, then it's a great book. Question number 4. Do you do star ratings? Why or why not? Yes, I do. Why? Because it's fun. If yes, explain your star rating system. What does a good book get in your rating system? And then is your star rating consistent? Are all your 5-star books better than all your 4-star books? Firstly, what my rating system means, I need to put it on the screen because this only works in written form. So 1 star means bad book. 2 stars means so-so, wouldn't recommend. 3 stars means good. 4 stars means excellent. And 5 stars means... I also have an extra star rating, which I give to books that are just... oh my... that type of book. That type of book gets 5 million stars. Question number 5. Do you believe every book has its perfect reader? Does this contradict the idea that a book can be quote-unquote bad? I think every book has an ideal reader. Let's just take a moment to let go of our romantic idea that books are works of art. They can be. And when you are a writer, I guess that's where you're coming from when you write. But books are products. I'm sorry to burst the bubble, but books are products and readers are consumers of that product. So, from a writer's standpoint, sure, you maybe don't write with a specific reader in mind. I'm not going to get into that, but from a publisher's standpoint, you do have a specific reader in mind when you are publishing the book, and when you are marketing the book, and when you are designing the cover for the book, and when you decide how many copies you are going to sell and where you are going to sell them, and etc. So I do think there's an ideal reader. That doesn't mean that the ideal reader is going to like it, and that doesn't mean that the someone outside the target is not going to like it. Obviously, you can read a book that is not targeted towards you and you might like it, and you might read a book that is targeted towards you and you might not like it. But I do think that there is, or at least publishers do consider an ideal reader for a book. And then, does this contradict the idea that a book can be bad? I don't think so. I think a book can be bad. As I told you in the beginning of the tag, I'm a pretty snobby person, and I think there are certain books that we can say that they are objectively bad, and that doesn't have to do with whether you like them or not. There are certain books that I love that are bad books, and I know are bad books, and I acknowledge are bad books. I'm pretty sure this was on Jen's channel from Remembered Reads. She said, sometimes I'm in the mood for trash, but for a very specific kind of trash. And I told her I need a t-shirt with that quote, because that's like, yes, 100% that happens to me all the time. It's like TV. When you watch TV, sometimes you just want to watch trash TV and you know it's bad, but you still like it. Question number 6. What book that you hated have you recommended? I think I can answer the Outlander books. Not that I have recommended them because I hate them. But I love the Outlander TV show. I am a fan of the Outlander TV show, and I really hate the books. So I read them, or I should say I skim-read them, because I wanted more Jamie and Claire. But I think the books are really objectively bad. But I guess maybe when someone tells me that they like the show, maybe I do tell them, oh, if you want more Jamie and Claire, read the books. But I always do the warning before. I always say, I think they're terrible, they are bad, I hated them. But if you want more Jamie and Claire, go ahead and read the books. Next question. What makes a book good, bad, or great in your evaluation? I think a book is good or great when it does what the author intended to do. That's one thing. Like, one thing is, what was the objective of this book? Is it doing it? if yes, then it can probably be a good book. That's the first thing. Because you are not going to evaluate a self-help book next to a Victorian novel, next to a middle grade, you are not going to evaluate in the same way because they have different objectives. So if what the book is trying to do is done in a successful way, then it can be a good book. But there's a second part to that, and that is the writing self-indulgent, or is the ego of the writer getting in the way? Sometimes you will have books where it is very clear that the ego of the author is getting in the way. For example, books that are super long that don't need to be, that you can tell that the author didn't want to edit because they don't want to edit their own brilliant words. Or I think it was in another tag I talked about how some romance writers try so hard to be funny. So when you can tell that the writing is self-indulgent, that it's not an authorial voice, but the actual author's voice, where it's she is talking to you, or he is talking to you, or they are talking to you, and they are putting their thoughts in the book because they want to, I don't know, tell you their thoughts. I'm not explaining myself properly, but I think you might know what I mean. I'm a writer. I know it's hard. Sometimes you write something and you read it and you're like, I am such a genius, like this is a brilliant quote. But sometimes you have to edit those brilliant quotes. So, when you are not willing to do that, the book tends to be bad. Question number 8. When evaluating the quality of a book, do you have specific criteria or aspects of the book, such as character development, that you consider? Does this change if you are writing an in-depth review versus just thinking about the book for enjoyment? I don't have specific criteria, not in terms of like a checkbox. Maybe if I'm talking to someone and I'm telling them why I loved or hated a book, I will go to certain elements that I picked up in that particular book, but I don't have like a checkbox of like character development, world building. I don't have that. And I don't write in-depth reviews, so I can't answer the second part of that question. Question number 9. Do you consider star ratings or average ratings when choosing books to read and or add to your TBR? I wish I didn't, but I'm very influenceable that way. So if I see a book and I think, oh my god, this looks so good, I want to read it, and then I go to the Goodreads page and it has like a 2-star average rating, then I will be like, oh, and I get disillusioned and I won't add that book to my TBR. I wish I wasn't like that. Sometimes I try not to look at the Goodreads page if I'm too excited about a book, because I know that I will be influenced by whatever I see there. But I do. Question number 10. Who on BookTube does reliable and interesting reviews of books that you can use to decide if a book is for you or not? What makes the review so good? I'm going to look at this from an objective standpoint, as Mara from Books Like Wow would say, insofar as one can be objective about these things. And I think objectively we can all agree that the best reviewer on BookTube is Olive from A Book Olive. What makes the review so good? Well, she is very eloquent and she is very intelligent and she is very well spoken and she's just so smart. Question number 11. Does that or those booktubers use different language than you to evaluate and review the overall quality of a book? Yes, she does. She uses intelligent and eloquent language, as opposed to myself that just goes, oh my god, whenever I love a book. That would be the end of this tag. I hope you enjoyed my answers. I hope you enjoyed TAGMAS. I had fun answering all of the tags, and I am glad that I'm starting the year with a clean slate for tags. I don't have any tags that I'm behind on. I look forward to see what other tags 2022 will bring. My next video will probably be my personal reading projects that I have planned for 2022. I hope you enjoyed TAGMAS. I hope you have a great New Year's Eve if you are going to celebrate. If you are going to do the same thing that I'm going to do, stay home and read, I hope you have a great time doing that as well. And yeah, I will see you on my next video. In the meantime, I wish you happy reading.